Hey, what's going on, guys? Me, Alex Wong, and welcome back to another video. Today, we are going to be putting together a campaign raw, unedited video from beginning to end so you can see what it's like for a founder going into the space to create a very easy, quick win campaign that can generate you leads as soon as tomorrow. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alrighty, so as I mentioned in the intro, today's idea is we are going to go ahead, pull a lead list, we're going to verify it, we're going to grab all the information we need, and I'm going to show you how we're going to put together a high intent campaign that's going to generate you interested leads once again as soon as tomorrow, as soon as you get started. And I'll go over and recap of exactly what it is you need to be able to pull this off, how to protect yourself from spam, as well as reply metrics for the best possible chance of success. A lot of you have been asking for this because there's a lot of people out there who go through like the bits and pieces of it in different motions, but I believe that this would be a very fun one to do to give you insight on what it is to actually go through step by step in one full taken shot. All right, so let's hop into it. So the very first thing that I want to get started with is naming our campaign, starting our list, and how we're going to be able to pull it off. So the very important metric here is that we want to be able to go ahead and identify, keep all our information tight. Because as you know, in cold email, there's a lot of different bits and pieces along the way that are effectively going to be what it is to succeed. Now, I just want to get something out the way immediately, and that's cold emails very easy. While it is very simple, by no means is it easy. There's a lot of different procedures and steps that you need to take in place to be able to make sure that these are performing at the highest capability and are as accurate as possible while balancing time management. And that's one of the most important things that I have learned in my entire entrepreneurial journey, is that it's not about who does the hardest or the most or as many hours, as whoever effectively manages their time and what do you get done within those hours. So going into here, we want to not like speed run it, but essentially see how we can best supply both worlds. So the very first thing here is what I'm thinking. This is going to be an internal campaign. Now I name all my campaigns that relatively the same. So for this idea today, we're going to do Florida marketing agencies. All right. And I always like to use filters in the title so I know exactly what the campaigns are about. So I think 1 to 50 employees would be nice. I could probably shorten this to that. We're going to obviously do USA, Florida, and then the platform we'll use is Disco-like. Now, the type of campaign we're going to use is a direct offer campaign. So meaning I am just going to straight up say, hey, this is what we do. We're in the area. Would you be open to getting together? Okay. So once we create this, if you're curious what you're looking at here, this is just our internal Airtable inbox management. Airtable is not inbox management, our internal operating system. Airtable is very effective. You can host a lot of data in here, certain steps, and it's very easy integratable with NAN and things of that nature. So I highly recommend it. All right. So the campaign approach we're going to use, as I mentioned, is direct offer. Right now we're on the needing lead stage. Let's get this ready tomorrow. We'll get it ready for today. Okay, so our campaign thesis is going to be very straightforward. I'm going to go ahead and punch this through and we'll come back. Agencies are used to the generic. We could get you a bunch of meetings, but one thing that's always been fundamentally set in human psychology is that when you learn in business that someone's near you or within your area and they call that out, it almost builds a little bit of instant trust. It's a little bit, but just enough for us to have them continue to read and get through with what you're wanting to say. Now, I want to position this as something very out of the box where a lot of people offer to hop on meetings, and that will be the goal, of course, but I believe that by switching this angle to would you be okay to meet for some coffee or have me buy you lunch would be a very interesting angle that people will take up on. And if it means that I have to drive a couple of hours or minutes to secure a $25,000+ client, in my opinion, it is worth it. Unless you hate money. Okay, so I kept that very broad because this is just internal. I don't really say it like that to clients specifically, but I believe here that this is a great way to go ahead and set this up for initial success. Just to go through before I make the campaign, right, what it is that I am exactly thinking about, right, before I go ahead and get everything set up. Okay, so that is all set up. So the very first thing we want to do is hop over here to Disco-like. Now, if you're not familiar with Disco-like, it is going to be a platform that basically has access to your entire total addressable market, and this goes beyond LinkedIn. So what you're familiar with is tools like Apollo, ZoomInfo, SalesNav, and things like that. They're all based on LinkedIn data. Now, what's the biggest issue with that? Well, the biggest issue with LinkedIn data is that there's only so much of it. So depending on your ideal customer profile, there are a couple of different pointers. So if you do local businesses, for example, they aren't going to be found as well on LinkedIn, right? Compared to surfing their website through a platform like DiscoLike, right? Another issue is that classifications get pretty much really screwed up, to say the least. Now, the reason why is because there's only so many different keywords or industries you can select on LinkedIn. So for example, if you look up Dulce on LinkedIn, under companies, it says we're a marketing services company, because that's really the only thing that has the answer to. So if I want to target marketing agencies or marketing service type companies, I'm going to come up for that. And then you have to throw in a bunch of different keywords like exclude lead gen or cold email and this and that. And before you have this gigantic list of includes and excludes, and it's still not going to be correct. All right. So this tool makes it really easy. Now, before we make the list, I'm actually going to show you guys effectively what is going to be the best type of setup for your cold emails. Because without the proper setup, you're not going to be in place to win. So we today are going to be using Email Bison. It is a private cold email. Shout out to the guys at Email Bison. Let's go. All right. So we are going to be using Email Bison. Effectively, what they are, if you're not familiar, is they're just like an Instantly and Smartly, just on steroids. And they are hands down 10x better. And the reason why that is because you get private IPs and infrastructure for your cold email sending capabilities. So compared to tools like Smartly and Instantly, they're public, right? $30, $34 entry level per month. Anybody in the world could join. And with this, you are protected from spam, so you have a significantly less chance of going to spam. And also, you get your access to a private warm-up pool. You have a lot of risk exposure in a public warm-up pool where people tap it, or they might use these reply agents that are always honing your accounts, and you'll experience a lot of the times a lot of bounces and going to spam even before you send a single cold email. So for my clients and for myself, I want the best of the best. So we eliminate all that risk off the bat with using a tool like Email Bison. Now, the very next thing we're going to use to make this happen is Google Workspace accounts. So there's a lot of trouble with Outlook and Azure inboxes right now. As for the last 2 years, I don't even touch private SMTPs just simply because of the risk. And for our provider, we use cheap inboxes. Now, the great thing about all the tools that I'll be mentioning in today's video, DiscoLike, Google Workspace, Email Guard, RevReply, all the tools I'll mention, we throw 15, 20, 30% discounts. A lot of these tools have affiliate programs, as you may know. But instead of me taking all the commission, I want to make it where you guys just got the discount instead. And by going to the description and joining Agency Ignition, you'll be able to receive all those discounts just for being a member. And try it. 7 days free. Get your money back. You don't even take your money. Try it for 7 days free. Literally zero risk on your end, okay? Anyways, so that's, I think it comes down to $280 in inbox, all right, when it's all said and done. Which, if you compare it to Google's prices, which is $8.40, massive difference. All right, so for our cheap inboxes, right, we're going to be using our .com domains. Very first thing, if you haven't already seen one of my videos, I don't know which one's coming first, but .infos have been experiencing some blacklist. So I would stay away from .infos just for now for protection. Let's just root back to our .coms, .cos, .nets, things like that. Because your .infos are starting to be flagged. So think of this as like your stay away just for the time being. So we're going to be using .coms. All right, and just to reiterate, in case you're not familiar, cheap inboxes are a direct reseller, and they use direct panels. As you may know already, a couple months ago, legacy panels are officially, rest in peace. They were a way to get the same type of account, same performance, but just significantly cheaper. And Google really shut that down immediately. So direct panels now are going to be the move moving forward. So you have Email Bison, Google Workspace. Also, Lead Magic, we're going to be using to identify our emails and for verification. And we are pretty much, that's all you really need. And like I said, DiscoLike. So this is our setup. We're also going to use email, guard. All these will be linked down in the description, so don't like bother stressing to write it all down as you go through with me here. But these will all be linked into the description for you. Email guard is going to be used for our domain masking. And in case you're curious, we are going to be using pork bun for our purchasing of domains, right? Or that we've already purchased from. If you're not familiar with domain masking, it's a little bit of a different concept than the domain redirect, which I'm sure you're familiar with. So if you visit, for example, use dulce.com, right? A redirect will send you to dulce.io, and domain masking will just send you to use dulce.com, but it's your main website, and that protects you from spam. All right, so this is our little setup for today, and let's jump right back to it. So we're going to get into here on Disco, like some of the most obscure lists and making sure that I get the best use out of their platform. So here, very first thing is we can easily just come and prompt it. So ICP prompt, we want to target B2B marketing agencies in Florida between 1 and 50 employees. That's literally all that we need. It's going to click analyze, and just like that, it will actually spit us out everything we need to build the list. So like I said, you want to find a good balance between time and the ability to make sure that your list is good. So we'll just go ahead and apply all here, and we'll manually check it. So this will give you your first little rundown, then you'll go through to make sure you got everything you need. B2B and digital marketing services provider offering SEO, AI search visibility, answer engine optimization, content marketing, paid media, programmatic. It's probably a little bit broad for like what's considered marketing agency, but it's pretty on the spot, okay? Public relations, influence marketing, web design, conversion rate optimization. This is all pretty spot on. Targets, technology, industry, industrial, professional service, e-commerce, retail. Okay, that all looks good. Webfx.com. We're just gonna spot check a couple of these. This looks good. Do Omni SEO. All right, sounds like a plan. Directive consulting. This is just to check it out. Rethink your potential. This might not be exactly what I want, so we might have to eliminate one of these. This is more on the. This is good. So specifically by support, one thing that I've been told is you want to make sure your lookalike seeds, your lookalike domains are exactly what you want. So if you're targeting roofers, it's very important that you add roofing companies, right? Once you start adding like those multi-type companies that made the roofing, HVAC, and plumbing, it screws up the list a little bit because of the fact that you have multiple of that type. So that's good. This is good. Let's see. So homepage text, it wants to look for marketing agency, digital marketing, lead generation. I'm going to take out lead generation because just in case I don't want to target other lead gen companies. Search engine optimization, paid media, marketing automation. I don't really think that'll be a word. Brand strategy, not so much. Campaign management, not so much. Demand generation, that should be okay. We'll leave it broad. So this is your very interesting thing is this uses homepage text, by the way. So for example, if you're looking on Apollo, the keywords are just like auto-generated based on what comes up for your company. But this actually will specifically show you on the website where these words come up. And your phrase match can be a couple different things. So if you put it in quotation marks, it has to be marketing agency. So right now when it looks on the website, it's looking for anywhere it says marketing or agency. Okay, but those two words have to be present. So if it's like we have marketing services and we're an agency, that will work. Compared to if you have the parentheses, if you had the quotation marks, then you would have just marketing agency. It has to be back to back. There's a couple different variations. You could read it right down here on exactly what to do for the filters. But we're going to leave it like that, right? Like I said, right now I'm optimizing this for volume and just accuracy. Again, worst thing they could do is say no. If it's wildly inaccurate, that's a problem. If it's benched or if it's on the fence, that's fine. Tech stack, there's not a specific tech that I'm looking for, but you can add, if I wanted to target marketing agencies using closecrm.com, you could do that. Subdomains, there's no one specifically I need from the subdomains, so we'll leave that out. Industry group, marketing and advertising, perfect. Has to be business model B2B. This just added this is one of my new favorite filters because it helps you weed out any of those non-fits. Social media and mobile, I don't necessarily care if they have like an Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or whatnot, so I'll leave that blank. Site, language, English, please. We found it before or after, we're not going to change that. Country, United States, state, Florida. Precision, include, exclude. Employees, revenue, digital footprint. And digital footprint is very cool. Basically, it takes away like websites that have just a standalone website. So effectively, your footprint is how many things you have digitally, right? So on your website, if you have your, just for example purposes, if you have your Facebook attached, your LinkedIn attached, you have subdomains. So For example, with NAN, we have nan.dulce.io. That's a subdomain, right? So these all get factored in to your digital score, which is very intriguing because it gives you a better idea. So just for example purposes, if you are it's not going to affect us today, but if you are making a roofing company list, just for your example, you don't want to be stuck with like roofing marketing companies, right? Like we help roofers with marketing. That would have a very high score, more likely than not. So it's just important that we take those out of consideration. But for our case, it doesn't matter. So make this very, I also added our domain exclusion list as anybody who's booked a call with us. I just don't want those in our campaign, just for now, at least. Depending, like for example, I might target them if they didn't close in a different campaign, but for this one, I want to exclude those as of recently. All right, now we're gonna start with 100 maximum records. So how this tool works is a little bit different than what you're used to. So you will pay monthly. It took me a little bit to understand. So if you do manage to go use this tool, I wanna make sure you understand as well. Effectively, you get charged per your search, so you can see your estimated spend. It will always be like 12 cents. And then anything more than that will be charged per record. But your better plan, the cheaper it is. So for example, if I look up 100 companies, it'll be anywhere between 12 and 37 cents. You don't pay this extra. So for example, we have like the $4.99 or the $7.99 plan, and it will actually take out of that until you hit that threshold on both contact side and discover side. So for this specifically, you could see, boom, this is your 100. Let's take a look at what comes up. All right, so the very first thing here is we are going to spot check who is good and who is bad, all right? And then we're also going to use AI, and I'll give you a prompt that we are going to use to tell us, all right, this is good/bad. The very first thing I look for when I go through these lists is making sure it is ICP. Now, the very first thing, if it's a little sketchy, I'll go through them one by one, but the very first thing I look for is who is a name that doesn't appear to be what I'm looking for. Web design service, AI, app development, SEO, and marketing. So this is good. Coders In just gave me a little bit of I'm not 100% sure if this is a marketing agency. LaunchSnap, let's take a look. Digital marketing agency. Okay, good. Search leads. Agency. Is this the search leads I'm thinking of, or is this someone different? No, this is different. Okay. We build the systems that power scalable acquisition, SEO, AI growth engine. Okay, good. Tiger Tracks AI. Let's take a look here. Tiger Tracks capabilities, paid media, creative strategy. Okay, that's good. Let's see. Web. Coordinating your web and digital presence. Web digital. Okay, that looks good. So I'm almost certain all these are going to be good. I'll take a quick marketing.links, search exchange, Zagu. This looks a little fun. Flexible connections, reliable solutions, ECB. Okay, so this, for example, does not look to be, it looks to be manufacturing capabilities and located in Hong Kong. That's interesting. Let's see, it says the business is registered in Florida. You can't get around that. Like I said, it only can be so perfect. So it even looks like, so this description doesn't seem to be 100% on the spot. So if you click the name here, we can see what keywords it pulled and what it came up for. So it might have recently changed, or it might be something that's just not as accurate anymore. So let's see, get a free quote, paid media. So it looks like it got changed. So this doesn't seem to be accurate. So what we can do is we can go ahead and exclude this from our list. For now, we'll just pick the name because it looks like this is not 100% on board. All right, let's take a look at the second list. Ricky Bobby USA, fueling SaaS growth with smart marketing strategies. Okie dokie, not particularly ideal company, but we'll take it. I'm also going to throw in here, and the cool thing is for the industry, it has software and SaaS, so I'm going to just dump software here just in case. I don't particularly like working with software companies unless it's a high ticket, all right? Because a lot of those like 100 a month plans, like Cold Email can work, but just for our sake, it's not ICP. And I want to work with the best fits possible that you wish you had it in-house. Okay, website development, e-commerce, okie dokie. So for this stage, we'll actually go ahead and step this up to 1,000. If there is 1,000, I'd be very intrigued with that. Search, go. Alrighty, so going into this, it looks like we're actually about 1,000. So what I want to do is I want to try to take out some of these guys that aren't so ICP, right? Because I think just for our central area that I'm looking for, I'd love it to be right on the money. So for example, you'll have some of these companies might be based in way farther than I really want to go. Like Miami's a bit stretching it, but Miami's really hot, so I wouldn't even mind booking up a calendar and taking a trip. Naples, color. Okay. So we could all do that afterwards. But what I want to do here is just wrap up some of these keywords, and I'll tell you what I did in just a moment. To save you the boring details of what I went through, but I'm still going to showcase what it is just so you know what happened. So effectively, I started going through this list. Basically, I will share with you this prompt that I've been using that you also can use when you create your campaigns, right? So the very first thing that I want to, oh, this is not the right one. Open up our SOP here. All right, sorry, my bad. This is what I wanted to share. So basically this goes through, all right, your professional analyzer for B2B sales and business development. Your goal is to identify the usability of a lead list for cold email outbound campaigns. And you can read this again in the description. You'll take a look that, all right, this is, you have a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. This is how I like to go quick over every time I make a list and shoot for 80, 85% plus, and 90% plus is normally where we want to be in the sweet spot. This is like I told you before. I can't be accurate 100% all the time, but you just got to know that 8 out of the 10 of the good contacts you're reaching out to are valid. So this is exactly what we use, and then I put in information about what the campaign is going to be about so it knows what to do, right? But basically, I went through that list, I asked GPT, and I started going through the homepage text here. Bottom line is, basically went through all the keyword text, and I just pulled what wasn't 100% ICP. Because once again, if I'm meeting these people for lunch, I would hate for them to be like software development, and that's just not what we do. So I pulled all these from those different type of keywords, and I also excluded SaaS and software. Now, there was some good SaaS in there, but also I preferably like the email, like really niche verticals. SaaS isn't one of my specialties per se. We're good at it, but I think there's a lot of home elsewhere. I also adjusted it to 11 to 50 employees. I don't know why I didn't do that at first, but I want more established sales team for that. More established sales teams to be reaching out to. So with that being said, that's the list. We have about 2,145 websites. We're going to take that over to contacts. So the very cool thing about contacts now, it's going to search all these. I'll probably pull in 10 contacts per company, and we are going to bring out in filters here seniority. So I want executives, I want VPs, and I want directors. Anything else than that, I don't necessarily want. Just normally I throw in maybe manager, but like I said, if I'm meeting them for lunch and all this, I want it to be somebody exact who I'm speaking to. So for the phrase match summary here, this is very important because this will allow us to understand exactly who the type of person is that we're reaching out to. So where Disco like excels is it helps you cover everybody who is not 100% owner, founder, CEO. Some people under LinkedIn are funky how it is. They will have like chief joy officer or something silly. Or maybe it won't be directly added, or if it's not directly a job title, but agencies, a lot of it varies who handles what. So this is important because it can also dictate us the job roles, right? I'm sorry, I completely lied to you guys. I meant persona profile text, not profile phrase match. Persona profile text. This will actually tell you, right, based on what their job responsibilities are, titles, and skills, it will actually let us know who and what we're looking for, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and put in a description now. So we'll do, like for example, leadership. We'll do owner, founder, president, decision maker in marketing / growth services department. And honestly, we'll see exactly where that gets us. So let's start with 100 companies for now. So what it will do is actually run through the first 100 companies, and it will tell you who are the titles that came up. I'm out of credits. Give me a moment. All right, so now that we topped up, got some more credits, I changed the text around and then re-ran it. So this is essentially what we're pulling out from here. So it looks like we got 404 contacts at the first 100 companies that was pulled. So I would do the exact same thing. As soon as you run it, you paid for it. And the cool thing is if you run it again, you don't pay for it twice, right? It's cashed into your account for, I believe, a certain amount of days. And then you can always just continuously click this button to export it right to your CSV. So no need to wait for scrapers or anything of that nature. So this looks to be pretty spot on here. What I would want to do now is just quickly spot check the next page, and then we'll exclude some of the ones that don't matter outside of Disco like. So let's step this up now to all key 100. Click submit. And for this type of industry, it's very common to be able to find the emails and contact information. However, for something that's not as easy to find, or as you can see here, look, Web Edge Digital, the digital branding, DigiCores LLC, right? Quick Start Service, or bidtech.io. I'm just using these as an example. Bespoke Agency Solutions. We couldn't find any contacts for these guys. So you can use the Contagen search right here by clicking this little search button, and it'll actually go in and use AI to search for your team pages, your About Us page, and things like that to pull names. And then what we're going to use now, use Disco-like in conjunction with those findings to use their name, company, to be able to pull the email address. But for this type of campaign, I'm all right with the 1815 that gets pulled. It's small, but it's exactly what we're looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and download these, and I'm going to bring out Lead Magic now. Within Lead Magic, they have their email finding tool, so we'll actually use different versions of, or different variations of the email to go ahead and pull it. So it will be first name, last name, it will be first name at, it'll be last name at, it will just be whatever the most common variants are, and that's how it's going to pull. So we're just going to use only email finder here. Should be 1 credit per, and we'll start the enrichment. Bingo. So with that being said, we shall wait for this to finish. It normally takes anywhere between 10 to 30 minutes, and we'll have our list. Now, in the meantime, while this enrichment begins and we're going through the list, let's flip over now to email copy. Normally after it starts, it'll give you an estimate time for completion, but no reason to sit here and wait and worry on that. We'll let that go. All right, so that's all said and done. Now what we want to do is flip back to our copy. Now inside of our lead list too, what we're going to do is open up Google Sheets. All right, now we're going to go over here and open up our Google Sheet, and we're going to add a lead list to the campaign. So we'll sort it out as company URLs. We'll sort it as generic email raw. Then we'll do direct email raw. And then we'll do generic email final and direct email final. So the reason why I'm doing this is to space out our lists to be always exactly the same one. And then 2, it also allows me to see exactly where I'm looking for. So for example, for direct email here, we're going to import, we're going to upload, pick the last one. As you can see, pull right back up the same search. You'll use just the 12 cents because we already ran this before. It's already cached, same number. We'll download this. Now I'll exit back out, head to company URLs, and just import that to our list. All right, just to keep track of all the leads that we are using. Now I'll actually go ahead and turn this into a anyone link and view. We'll copy this link. We'll bring it back over to our tool. We're going to drop it into file name. Sorry, we're actually going to drop it into lead list notes. And then we're going to pull the same name here. We're going to add it to Dulcie, add it to our campaign, and then create. So now when we come back here, you can see, boom, this was successfully attached. And now we just need our copy. So what I want to run here is that very similar style that I mentioned before. So the main goal here is we want to basically reach out to them and say, hey, we're nearby. So we'll do, hey, first name. Then we'll do, saw you're based in. Then we'll do city. Then we could do, I'm actually just nearby in Orlando. That's where I'm out of. We provide, and you could change this up however sees best fit with your specific offer. So we'll say we help, we'll tune it as we build omni-channel outreach systems for B2B marketing agencies. And we'll tune this. I just want to get the raw version out here for B2B marketing agencies, and thought it might make sense to introduce myself and connect. Would you rather grab coffee/lunch sometime or want me to stop by? All right. I would actually, this depends. A lot of these guys are probably most likely working from home. So we'll most likely tweak this into a lunch type of angle. Let me sit on it for a moment. All right, just took a little bit going back and forth, but trust me, I have cooked on this one. So I changed the angle a little bit. What I want to do instead, I think, is make it a little more personalized on hitting home, because if we can call out a restaurant in their town that you'd meet at, not like McDonald's or like Ruth Chris, but like a commonly known lunch spot, we'll use Clay for that. I'm going to show you exactly how we'll put that together. We will be able to pull a restaurant in their town, and we'll call that out in the email and say like, hey, I saw you're based on city and I'm over in Orlando. So I tweaked the wording at the start a little bit. Because of the fact, I remember last time I ran this, had some people in like Miami and things are like, Orlando's like 4 hours away, man. Like, that's not nearby. What's wrong with you? And I was like, all right, that's not the point. I meant like anywhere in the whole world, but people didn't get that. So I said, so you're based in city. I'm over in Orlando, but I'm down your way every so often. I run a company called Dulce, and I want to make it very open. If you take a look at how I've written this, I've been very open with it because a lot of people use AI and things like that, and a lot of the emails all sound exactly the same. So I prefer at least targeting agencies as that target market to keep it a very natural tone. So I just say I run a company called Dulce and help B2B agencies average around 20 new sales opportunities per month with omnichannel outreach. So I figured I'd reach out and introduce myself. If you're open to it, I'd be happy to grab lunch sometimes, my treat. We're going to leave it very open like that and see what people are interested, right? And they could check out all my information below. We're going to use not a thread reply. We're just going to use a in terms of the thread reply. I came off with something very interesting. Ever since bumping it up, I just said, I dropped my phone in the pool while sending my last email. Wasn't sure if you got it. Just kidding. And I a lot of people do that where it's like, oh, I dropped my phone when I sent the last email. Wasn't sure if you got it. It's like, you're bluffing. So I actually openly say, like, I'm just kidding here. Did you get a chance to think about my lunch proposal? And then for the last bit of it here, it is, if restaurant is a no-go, I'm totally cool with any other suggestions. And if you'd rather know a little more about me first, I'm more than happy to share results we've gotten for other agencies before we meet. Would that help? And I think being very down to earth, very genuine, and having this localized, even calling at a restaurant, it'll hit home more than having a direct, like, hey, this is free, something that we have to give away. Not saying those campaigns don't work. I have 4 other campaigns going at the same time right now. So this will be campaign number 5 that I'm running, and it's going to be a very interesting test for me. So with that being said, this is all said and done. What we want to do now is hop over to campaign creation, and let's start customizing this a little bit. So this is all set up. We'll change the start time. I just pick randomly times, so not every single campaign in my workspace starts at the same time every single day. We'll just have one variant each. It's a very small sample size, and then we'll click create campaign, and let's hop over now to Email Bison so we can finish this up. All right, here we go. We are in Email Bison, so we're going to add our leads in just a sec, but we need to acquire the city that person is located in, because the company could be in XYZ spot, but we need the person also to be located in the state, right? So we've added our emails here. So that example I told you before, so we'll just bring this over here. We're not going to tick thread reply because it looks a little desperate in my personal opinion, and not even opinion-wise, statistic-wise. When somebody gets a brand new email from you, right, they will more likely go back and see you just consistently reply to your own thread and be like, all right, well, this guy's doing a little too much. So we'll bring this over. Before we get going with this copy, though, we're going to have to Spintax it. If you're not familiar with what Spintax is, it's a very simple concept. Basically what Spintaxing is, it takes like, hey, first name, hey, hi, hello, greetings, and all those different variants, and it allows you to go ahead and move from specifically one set of wording to multiple sets of wording. And we'll use that with squiggly brackets here. So as you can see, my signature here, this is very straightforward. So you'll see it's set up in these brackets, and I have this little line in the middle that goes ahead and splits that up. All right, I gotta move my face, right? So when you actually send this out, I'll preview the copy. It comes out as kind regards. All right? Okie dokie. So the next stage here is let's get these leads uploaded to Clay. Let me show you the prompting. Let's get them uploaded, and let's get the campaign going. All right, so using GPT, we went out here and pulled our Spintax variant. So now we also use Email Guard to make sure that our spam scores and spam words is close to 0 as possible. This, we got the check mark. This looks good. I'm also going to take this other copy here. Same thing, run it through. Chance and phone came up as a couple different spam words. So let's take a look at where chance, have you had a chance? Okay, so I think we'll have you had a moment. Basically means the exact same thing. It's just phone. I think that should be fine. Then the last one here is recommending a different restaurant. Nope. Okay. Nope. Passes that test. Sequence is done. Now, let's work on finalizing the leads so we can get this campaign launched and done. And what are we at? 39 minutes. It's probably edited down, so you'll probably see a little less, but 39 minutes, I'll take it. I'll take it for footage. So out of this includes the companies, so we had about 2,000 companies. So we had 1,800 leads. About 1,200 of them were found. That's a very healthy amount. Now we're going to go ahead and export it in here. What I want to use is, let's see. Originally, we want to make sure the social comes. That's their LinkedIn link. Phone, score, email, state, don't really care. City, we need city. And then lead magics and rich fields. We want to make sure that the email gets outputted here. I'll just click use smart defaults. Let's see, domain status has MX, output, input first name, company name, company size, company type, MX records, company industry, company retro. Do not care about the company location for this one. Company LinkedIn URL. So all looks good. What I also want to do is hide rows with 0 spend. So I just want only the emails that are good. Once again, we'll take city and social, date, score, phone, zip. Okie dokie. Let's roll with this, shall we? We're going to download the CSV, and now we're going to bring it over to Clay. All right. All right, here we go. Here we go. Let's do this, ladies and gentlemen. So let's upload this CSV right here. That's exactly not what I downloaded. Export successful. Never mind. I lied. This is the correct one. Okie dokie. Let's upload it to our list here. Continue. Make sure that we pull in all the records that we need. Save and don't run. And then we'll need the city name that they're based in if it's not available. And if that is the case, then we also will need their restaurant information. Let me just actually smooth this out. Get rid of some columns that we don't need here. Looks like this is not what we'll be using today. So let's get rid of these. All right, and everything else should have been filled in accordingly. First name, last name's over there. So then I could just get rid of these. Alrighty. Right, so we got their name, first name, last name, got the social links, and then we got their titles. We got the city name that we need to fill in. It's all valid status, all got their names confidently found. Let's see where city was output. We actually don't need these auto splits. We already got that. Same thing with company name. And same thing with skipped. We did not download the skips. All right, email. Is this the email that got found? Looks like that is the case. So it's perfect. Domain. Let's see where city went. Just couldn't think these were drawn. So let's use the LinkedIn account to find those cities. All right, took me a bit of reorganizing, but let me walk you through exactly what I did. So I reran the list through lead magic, but I did it in Clay instead to get a little more accurate results here since it runs row by row instead of as like one gigantic list. Then what I did after that was essentially take these people. We did make a mistake. I'll openly say that when I was exporting the contacts, I forgot to hit state Florida for the contacts. So we're left about 700 people, right? So about a little more than half is not in Florida, which no big deal. Now the next portion here is making sure that the restaurants get outputted right. So if you want to take a look what I did to generate, I basically wrote, hey, search this person's LinkedIn, here's their link, and make sure that they are located in Florida via their LinkedIn link. Now if they're not located in Florida, please return not FL, and then we filter by those, and now we're opening restaurants, and basically I'll paste exactly what I prompted. The cool thing with ClayGen was you can just paste this. Now another thing is you could also use directly in DiscoGen to run these. So you actually don't even, you can skip the whole Clay step. I'm using it right now for lead magic, so I might as well just finish it all up in here. But basically making sure that this is the prompt that I gave it. This is what it output right here. So you can see that. And then we're going to use all of these as a restaurant variable. Put it out there, and we'll just call this restaurant. So with that being said, we practically now have exactly everything we need. Now I'm trying to go through and look like Duval's obviously is a little funk. So we'll go through here and just to re-edit it and say, hey, only output the type of company. So I'll just say here, return only the restaurant name but no added text, no added fields. So we can even just try running this and see if it changes up here. None that looks incorrect. So anything that also promotes not high confidence, we'll rerun it through, and even we could see if we could step it up with a higher model. Owen's Fish Camp, I'll just spot check a couple of these. They do not do lunch. So this is an issue that we got to go back and see. I'll even just straight up test the old variant, and it's just going through to see what we're looking for here. So obviously this is incorrect, so we can, all right, it's already done. So we could stop here. Let's see. It's still going to input incorrectly. Okay. A lot of these look good, though, right? This one looks good. Joe's Stone Crab. Riverside Johnny's. I don't know if I'd exactly have a business dinner, unless this is like a, not Joe's Crab Shack. I need a Miami. Kind of just want to take a look at these places to make sure that also it's outputting correctly. Like these should be, okay. I want it to be very professional type locations. Let's see, Stone's Crab. Okay, Jazz Kitchen. All right, sweet. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go back here, tweak up this prompt, and then we're all set and done. Alrighty, so I tweaked it up a little bit just so some changes. So basically when I did the generate, I made sure to notify that like, hey, if it has a conversational name, like I get that this is actually what it's called on Google, but it just looks a little funky to say in an email. So I just told it, hey, if that's happening, then tweak it down. But you'll have some error like KJ's or KJ Steakhouse, but that's, I think, fine. I made sure to go through the verify lunchtime portion because it was giving some restaurants that were only dinner, and I think lunch is a more ideal type of thing. The couple things that we're missing here now is just the AI geeking out. So for example, this is no restaurants found in Miami or Orlando. It's just has to do with the confidence thing. I have no idea why AI does that. It's why I try not to use it unless it's a very small set, like on a campaign like this. So what I'll do is not equal to high. So any answer that's not equal to high on the guest found. So it looks like 122 of them were found. So what I'll do is high or very high, actually. We'll add that as actually a filter group so we can go through. Or we'll do this. Confidence does not contain... So actually, we can get rid of the filter group then. So we'll just do confidence does not contain high. Now this leads us with about 105. So we'll just manually right-click, force run all 105 rows. And if these still are empty, which I assume city will be empty. So if city is empty, we'll add and city is not empty because obviously that means it wasn't able to find what we need is not empty. All right, so 39 of these are running. Let's have it go through. A lot of these should be very clear. Think like Clearwater. There should be no reason why Orlando and Clearwater, like this could very much be the Ravenous Pig, and I just see exactly. I don't know why it does that. I like a good mix of both, but I think specifically for this campaign here for success, like obviously this doesn't make any sense. So I just sit here and keep running it, refresh the page, rerun it, and when it's all said and done, it looks like we got about 30, and I'll rerun these because again it just doesn't make any sense for it to say none. Welcome to the world of using AI. A lot of people think that it is perfect at what it does. The answer is not whatsoever. All right, so look at that. You just rerun it multiple times. Maybe it does that to make you spend more money. Who knows the answer? But point being is that we're out here getting exactly what we need here. I don't want all these to be high confidence before we go because it just might not give the right thing and then it makes you look awkward in the email. You don't need to stress about it too much. Just specifically, hey, for these, you want to make sure that you're getting exactly what you need. All right, so these are all returning. Now, as soon as this is done, what we're going to do is save the list, bring it to our tool, spot check that all the variables come out and look clean and look okay. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. This campaign is done and finished. If I had a guess, I would love to see out of how many is it? I think it was 670 something leads. I would love to see a 6 to 8% reply rate, so it's called 7. I would love to see a 6 to 8% reply rate, so it's called 7. 7 reply rate would be 47, and I would expect about a 35% interested rate from a direct campaign, so about 17 interested leads who are going to go to a meeting. That would be my expectation. All right, so this should be done and finished up, and there's so many different variations to you. You don't need to go this in depth. I just went a little bit beyond the mark to show you what that example would look like when you go a little more further than just the hey, I saw you're nearby. And I wanted to specifically construct this to also give a shot at in-person meetings, right? It's something that I want to build more upon in terms of my sales skills. And I think it's a great way to start right here home in Florida. You could do different variations of these, just saying like, hey, is it cool if we grab a virtual coffee, right? You could do that for example purposes. And it's just city that we're using really be the main personalization about a list, right? You can actually build lists within Disco like that, let's say have smaller size sales teams. You say, hey, with a sales team under 5 people, obviously you don't want to target those who have none because that won't make sense. But you can just go after, hey, I noticed you guys have a smaller size sales team of about X amount of people. I would take a guess from what my sources tell me, and we actually specifically help in that range, and that's how you could create your personalization. So what we're doing right now is we're not so much creating the personalization from clay as much like this anymore, because as you could see or can imagine, right, this is going on about an hour now record time. Like I said, I'll probably chop it down, but there's also a lot of pause time here. I went back and forth to rebuild it back and forth. and it takes a little more than you expect. But nonetheless, I think all good. Glad to get this done and over with, and we are all finished. So with that being said, our campaign is done. We'll flip back here. We'll go ahead and download our list. So it's 42 people. We're going to export, download a CSV, and then we'll drop our leads right here. Bada bing, bada boom. And let's just map our variables and launch it. Then I'll probably make a follow-up to this one for sure, or depending on the time I get a chance to upload this, more than likely than not, or maybe I'll stitch together the results. Not just sure yet. I might not even be hearing what I'm saying if I decide to cut it out. Bingo. This is just to make sure we got our mappings down. Email 2, title, company name. We're not using any of these. Accent start bulb. All right, sweet. So we just got restaurant name, city name, LinkedIn links uploaded, got the right email, got the right title, got the formatted company name, first name, last name. And let's just name the lead list exactly the same thing. Replace existing leads. Let's upload this into our tool and bon voyage. There we go. All right, and this is the end. So let's take a look here. Hey, Katie, so you're based in Tampa, Oxford Exchange. I run a company called If you're open, I'd be happy to grab lunch and buy my treat. So this is the only one actually I would change. So for the city variable, let's do this just to cover a little more ground as a last minute adjustment. So let's insert a column to the left. Let's insert we'll change the script. We'll change this to I'm over in personal. Okay, so the reason why we're going to change this is because just in case they're in, so bring over city if city contains Orlando, if city contains Orlando, output Apopka. If it does not, output Orlando. So then we'll actually just update this variable. So we'll call it personal. Let's see, Orlando. Okay, sweet. So then we'll take this personal. So the reason why we're going to change this is just in case they're from Orlando. Hey, saw you're based in Orlando. I'm over here in Orlando. Sounds a little goofy. So we just want to make sure that this works out okay for every single specific variant. Okay, and I'm technically in Apopka. It's just that more people would know Orlando. All right, so let's export this one more time. And we already uploaded the leads. There's actually no reason to change or delete them. So we actually can just drag and drop this here. Let me open up the sheet to paste it to. All right, just over here, gonna upload it to our sheet, replace current sheet. So we have the list of leads as well. All right, we're going to upload this list. So what I say, this was email 2, this was company name, this was personal, which was here. We're not using case study, we're not using leads, we're not using contacts, not using ICP, not using results. We are going to be using restaurant. On LinkedIn is social. City is city. Town, we're not using that. ICP, we're not using that. Okay, first name, last name, email 2, title, company name, don't import, personal. I don't know why Siri's talking to me. Case study, leads, contacts, don't import, restaurant, don't import, social, city. Finish mapping. We got our list uploaded here. I'm just gonna back that out and I'll just tag it as updated with personal, update existing. Actually, we'll just replace existing leads. I don't think it necessarily matters too much because it's exactly the same. All right, that is done and done. We'll double check our campaign one more time. Just started based in Tampa, but over here in Orlando, my treat. Can I get a good poll? Oh, I saw it worked. Okay, bingo. Let's just clear the formatting one more time so there's no mistakes. Okay, if YOLO is a no-go, I'm happy to open up any other suggestions. Okay, looks good. So this is good. Settings, plain. Send our emails. Boom, attach, launch. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. The campaign is done. So that is it from beginning to end on how exactly we would launch a cold email campaign. I got a flight to catch right now, but I wanted to get that hashed out and basically show you guys what it really looks like on the back end of putting it all together. And now we have it stored in our operating system. I get the lead list, the copy, everything looks good, up to date on that end. And then on our end, campaigns launch, we got our accounts out, we know exactly what we're looking for, and good to go. That being said, thank you everyone so much for watching. Subscribe if you want to learn more about cold email. Talk about it all the time, and I'll see you in the next one.